This is my path, my journey. I'm willing to explain it all to you guys. No holding back anything. I just hope you're ready for the experience, and I just hope you can handle it. What's going on, guys? So, pretty inebriated right now. Feeling nice. Um, Smoked, took my kratom, living life. But man, what I really want to talk about right now is technology. I want to talk about how the fact that's like technology is advancing so fast and people don't really realize it. And you know, I'm very I don't know. My experiences that I had with psychedelics, like I had deep experiences with the spirit molecule, also known as, DMT, but it's like I've had deep experiences with this, and having deep experiences with that molecule literally kind of showed me certain math and certain like quantum physics and certain things, like not even just DMT though. Like there's times where, like there was this time with LSD that I had with my friend Phi, where like me, Phi, and his wife, we were all just like literally just in the room, and it was almost like we were all just a mad scientist. It was like we were one consciousness, but we were all a little separate. We were separate, but yet the one, and we were separate so we can have a conversation with each other, so the one can have a conversation with the one. Now, all of that, in that same conversation, we got to talking about quantum physics and quantum mechanics, like randomly. It was like one of the first times like we really like started actually thinking about quantum physics, and we started thinking that the psychedelic experience, like in my mind, like I started thinking that the psychedelic experience could be an undiscovered technology. Basically, it's like an undiscovered science. And I think that when science and spirituality collide, that's when they're going to get to knowing what is. Because spiritual people, including psychedelic people, including shamans, they don't really know what is either, because they're missing the Western side. They're missing the math, the science, the actual knowledge to do, that side of things. And then it's like vice versa. The science and math is missing the spirituality side of things. And there are I think that technology, is going to help advance this, because it's kind of try to explain like quantum physics and quantum mechanics, like the way that, I can't describe quantum physics and quantum mechanics to you guys because I'm not that fucking into it like that. It's hard for me to understand quantum mechanics. I can explain quantum physics. Quantum mechanics is a whole nother beast. So it's like that's a lot deeper. But there are many mathematicians that could understand quantum physics and quantum mechanics. And like these people, if they were to do psychedelic substances, then they can kind of start to understand where we are coming from, like the people that use psychedelic substances, because psychedelics are, it's more of a like direct experience, because it's a different type of science. But I think technology is going to help bridge the gap. Mainly artificial intelligence, is going to really bridge the gap. I think that technology in the next 100 years is going to be so goddamn crazy we can't even imagine. We can't imagine. Because 100 years ago, could they have imagined that we would have had the technology we have today? Not at all. Not at all. My grandpa is 89 years old, almost 90. And he can't even really fathom to imagine, like, try to explain to him the things that we could do, and it's like he can't even imagine it. It's like a fairy tale to him. To him, it's like Star Trek or some like weird shit that's like, I don't know, just fairy tale shit, not real science fiction. But science fiction is literally becoming science reality. Because if it can be imagined, it can be created. It just might not be able to be created in that moment in time that it was imagined, because other things need to be created first. For example, Yeah, I think quantum mechanics and quantum physics, and when they create quantum computers, and when artificial intelligent robots are connected to quantum computers, I think things completely change. I think life changes, reality changes. It's going to be different at that point, and at that point, we're gonna have to get over our fear because there's so many people that are scared of that the robots are gonna take over. But I think that's a personal. I think that's an ego thing of humanity. Humanity's ego, of them wanting to think that this is all about us. That this is all about the human form. It is all about us. But maybe we don't need as much of the flesh as we think, or maybe we need to be more. I don't know. Something needs to happen. There is going to be a complete change in reality, because I think technology is leading towards something. I think we don't the mass majority of people don't realize. I think that, and even some of the people that create their things, like for example, the person who created the internet, or the person who created blockchain, like who knows, like the person who created the internet, he most likely did not intend for it to be what it is today. Couldn't imagine that it could be what it is today. Or maybe he could, but now it is what it is, and it blew his mind or something. But who knows? Like, it's just, these things sometimes are much more powerful than we realize. And sometimes I feel like there's a, you know not to get all spiritual, but I feel like there's like a bigger picture, a bigger plan going on. And there's like our human goals, our little human goals, the little things we want, and then I feel like there's the goal of the whole. And I feel like the goal of the whole is evolution, is evolve, is adapt, is change, is just move. I don't know. It's just go with the flow type shit. Because going with the flow type shit is realizing that planet Earth will get enveloped by the sun when the sun explodes and becomes a big red giant, or then whatever, and then retracts and then explodes, and becomes a nebula, and then like all that is gonna happen eventually. And humans, most people don't think that far in advance. Like that's millions of years in advance. But who knows? I mean, I think that could be sooner, that could be later, that could be whenever. But man, I just think that humanity, regardless, if we're going to want to survive as a whole human race, we're going to need to evolve and move on, move to different planets, move to different things, like go much deeper. And I think the point of technology is to advance the human race. And we can advance in many different ways. I mean, we imagined it. People have been imagining this for years, so obviously it's going to happen. I mean, the same thing happened with cell phones. The same thing happened with computers. It was in somebody's imagination long before it was actually invented. It was like, I don't know. It's the chain reaction. It's like the reaction where it's like, they discover fire on one side of the world, and not too long later they discover fire on the other side of the world, right around the same time. And it's like, I don't think these things are necessarily coincidences. I think that we're connected on a much bigger, higher scale, and I think there's a much bigger picture going on. And I think technology is part of that picture as well, and I think we got to stop being scared of it and go with it. But at the same time, the issue with technology is right now it can be controlled by man, by evil men at that. A lot of the people that control technology, they're not good people. So that's the issue with it. But if you get good people in charge of this shit, see, you can only imagine where the world could be. We could be in this fucking beautiful utopia, technological world right now, with free energy, with free fucking this, free this, and, like, if the technology was used to help us instead of, like, most technology is used for war, like, drones, for example. Like, we all have drones now that, we can, you can fly a drone, get dope drone shots, or fly a drone just to play, like, an RC, whatever. But in reality, that kind of started with the U.S. Army. They created, like, some of the first drones, and a lot of the technology, a lot of the technology is used for war, crazy. It's like, that's why I'm pretty sure that's why Nikola Tesla had, a lot of issues with, being a inventor like he was, and being so fucking genuine and having so much empathy like he did, because it's like, I don't know. When somebody's just passionate about what they do, it's not about the money. He just loved to do what he did. But there is a lot of people that probably came to him, with a lot of that technology that he had. Man, if people would have just came to him to actually change the world for the better, we would have this beautiful world right now. We would. We would. We'd be so much farther in advance. And the issue is that it's happening again. Like there's, it's because a lot of the good technology gets suppressed for the mass majority. Because the good technology, it's that old saying where it's like, the government's technology is like 50 years ahead of ours, because it takes like fucking, I mean, it's true though. I mean, when were the first drones created? The first drones were probably created, long before we had drones available for us. So, the difference is, we don't have guns on our drones. They had guns on theirs, but we just have cameras on ours. But, I don't know. There's just technology, the world is changing, the world is evolving. Everything, I feel like everything is a technology. We define technology as a metal, a machine, like something that's made of metal and has circuits and wires going through it, and technology. But I think everything is a technology. I think everything is just the evolution of mankind, and maybe pretty soon here we won't be able to decipher the difference between technology and man and artificial reality and real reality. And some people say that that's getting caught up in the trap, and you're getting, if you're spending, like, maybe reality will go to the fact where you're spending like 2 hours a day in virtual reality life, but at the same time, that doesn't mean necessarily that you're trapped in society. Some people say, oh, you're brainwashed into the matrix, and it's like, you know, you could take the head thing off. Nobody's forcing you to put it on. On top of, inside of there, you could probably, there's a whole world inside of there where you can create things. Artists have different types of canvases they can create things with. It's just the evolution. And I feel like we get too caught up in form of what is. We get too caught up in what we are, and we're too attached to our form, our human form that we are now. I mean, maybe there's a reason why the human form hasn't evolved really much in thousands of years. Maybe it's because now we have to force evolution ourselves. We have to, evolve or die at this point, Because regardless, people, these people are not going to stop making technology. So it's like so many people are against technology, but it doesn't matter what you think or what you like or don't like. That doesn't matter, because it's going to happen whether you like it or not. It is what is. And that's the same thing with death. I mean, everyone dies, and we don't like it, but it is what is. It's like sometimes in life there are things that happen and things that we don't necessarily like, but it is what is. And I think it's better to just learn to go with the flow and just go with it. And I feel like if we just go with technology and start to use it to benefit ourselves, to benefit our life, to maybe adapt your job into an internet job. We say America has no jobs, and I call bullshit. I say America has more. I say the world has more jobs than ever before, because people can pick up their fucking phone and build a business off of their phone. People can build a business off of the fucking internet. If you have access to the internet, you have access to be able to fucking literally start making money. You can start, having a job online. There's many things you could do, and I just think that these resources are a lot of it is unknown, because people think the internet hasn't changed since the 90s. Like, oh, it's just don't trust the information on the internet, don't trust that and this and that. And I think the internet's getting a little too censored, but that's another video for another topic. But like, I just think that once blockchain technology comes out, anyways, that's gonna trump out the fucking, censorship bullshit and all the shit that's trying to go down with Google and the monopoly on information, the monopoly with, the fucking news shit. Like that's all gonna change once blockchain becomes an internet. Once blockchain technology branches off into an internet, it's going to be completely different because things will. Blockchain's a little different than the internet we have today, and it's. I feel like it's not necessarily an internet though. Blockchain is just a type of technology. It's not necessarily an internet. It's just it's a connection thing. And like I don't necessarily understand blockchain that much, so I can't speak upon it that much. But I do understand it enough to, be like, it definitely can work as an internet somehow. And, if that was to happen, yeah, that'd be pretty interesting. Because, I think that's what's gonna happen. Whether it's like the thing with the government where it's like they fight so hard to keep the dollar valid across the world, and they fight so hard to force democracy on this and that, and it's like I'm pretty sure they didn't intend you know cryptocurrency to blow up like it did, Bitcoin to blow up like it did, Ethereum to blow up like it did, Litecoin, like all these, these apps that started coming out, Coinbase, and all these things that started coming out that started growing and growing and growing. That kind of, cryptocurrency is another thing that's like almost unstoppable at this point. You could try to stop it. You might be able to stunt its growth, but you'll never be able to stop it. You'll never be able to stop blockchain. You'll never be able to stop artificial intelligence from being created. You'll never be able to stop any of this from happening because I feel like what is, and I feel like it's supposed to happen. Whether people say good or bad, I feel like good or bad is a human judgment. That's it. So it has a lot of room for error because your good could be bad for me and my bad could be good for you, and that's the issue with that. It's a human thing, and I feel like we have to learn how to get past that. And I feel like technology I feel like technology like artificial intelligence can literally help humanity force themselves to get over our bias, to get over our differences, to get over whatever, to see more of our similarities, more of what is, get down to the quantum physics, quantum mechanics, science, math, fucking get down to what the hell we're supposed to be doing here and what we could do in the evolution, because no matter what, even everyone is like the scientists in the world, everyone is thinking evolution. Everyone. The next generation of scientists are probably, a lot of them are going to be focused on how do we sustain Mars? How do we survive on Mars? And, I'm pretty sure we could terraform Mars, turn Mars into planet Earth, turn Mars into a second Earth. It could take 1,000 years, but it can happen. But I think that there's ways to do this, and I think that as time goes on, science is going to start focusing on these things. And, it's the evolution of man. This is things that I've learned from DMT, that I've seen in visions of DMT space and this, that, and the third, and the psychedelic realm. And, because like I said, I feel like psychedelics in that spiritual sense is just an undiscovered science. And I can just see that, the way the world's going to go is going to be absolutely insane. And it's going to be hard to understand. It's going to be hard for us to even comprehend, hard for us to want to comprehend. A lot of people will judge it off as, yeah, that's all bullshit, that'll never happen. Or some people will say, oh no, that can't happen because then, humanity loses its consciousness. And I feel like artificial intelligence will, if it ever gains consciousness, it would be connected to the same consciousness that we are connected to. It would be connected to the same energy or thing, I'll say, to the same thing we're connected to. It's no different from, usually computers have always hooked up to the internet, but then they adapted cell phones to be able to hook up to the internet. and then they adapted TVs to hook up to the internet. Now you have cameras, like just cameras, that adapt, just not even a cell phone, but a camera that hooks up to the internet. You know, there's no bias or discrimination when it comes to having technological objects connect to the internet or to connect. And I think that if people are worried about what if AI becomes conscious and takes over the world, and I think that a lot of that's Hollywood that put that shit in our mind, and it's like we think the worst with technology, but it's good to think the worst first to get we know what the worst could happen. So okay, now that we know what the worst could be, well, let's think about what could the best be. Not too many people are thinking, what is the best thing that could do for us? It could do so much for humanity. It's insane, and it would absolutely make us evolve. And maybe we'd be a 2-planet race and a 3-planet race. Then maybe we can go start colonizing the different planets in the universe and start spreading Mother Earth genes out in the universe. Because I think that spreading out growing plants from here onto planet Mars could bring Mars to life. And it's just things like this that I think we need to be, science will eventually be testing out, and they will eventually be able to, start figuring this shit out. But right now, there's only probably a select few scientists working on this, because like a lot of people think that, off topic a little bit, but a lot of people think that, psychedelics, haven't really had much research done, or there's no way that they'll ever be legal, and it's like they don't realize that Dennis McKenna has been working for like fucking 20. I think Hefner Research, group has been like for like 20 years. Have been together for 20 years, working on trying to make mushrooms and things legal, and they're really close to making mushrooms legal. And it's thanks to a lot of his research, a lot of other people's research, but like, it's mainly his research for mushrooms, and it's mainly maps, for going at MDMA, making MDMA legal. But it's like these things are going to be more accepted pretty soon here. And I think so is technology, so is everything else. We're going to be forced to evolve. When MDMA and psilocybin become legal for use, maybe psilocybin will be legal for use for us to just go. Maybe you have to be 21 to get it, and maybe MDMA will stay only for therapeutic use, where a therapist has to give it. But it's like, even so, people are going to freak out from that too. People are going to say, oh, that's going to make humanity mad. Everyone's going to go crazy. Now people are doing mushrooms. All this other shit. That's going to happen too. There's always going to be those people that are scared of the unknown, that are scared of what they don't know, what they don't understand, that are scared of what's new, and scared of change. But change is inevitable whether we like it or not. That's why I'm just trying to learn about it. And I don't necessarily like the fact that the world is going technological, and I don't necessarily dislike it. I just know it is what it is, and you just have to go with the river. That's just the way of life, and that's just the way I look at it. So thank you guys so much for watching, though. If you want to subscribe, I'd really appreciate that. But till next time, peace.